Hey. This is Urban Politics, and I'm your humble host, Fizz Ed Music. Want to thank you all for liking and subscribing. As soon as you have a chance, please take your cell phone over to YouTube and like and subscribe. Urban Politics, Fizz Ed Music, where politics lives. But without further ado, I want to jump right into this like a car and drive because there's all types of tasty and delicious politics for us to sink our teeth into. Let's go ahead and get to eating, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to talk about Biden's speech. Now, he's been using the bully pulpit, running around America talking about all the good things he's done as far as, stuff that he's done for the climate. And that is huge, something to brag about. So he's been running around the country, like I said, using the bully pulpit, bragging about it. A quote from him, he said, "I believe America is at an inflection point." I agree with him. He said, "One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now America must choose to move forward or to move backwards." He is correct. What we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to progress or regress, and that obviously was him making the distinction between him and the GOP, between the Democrats and the GOP right there, right? He said, or actually he was trying to impress upon listeners that this election is a choice and not a referendum on him. And a lot of people have said that too. A lot of times, when a president is running, usually an election will be a referendum on him and what he hasn't done. And they'll say, "Oh, these gas prices off the chain," while, while Biden was in there. "Oh, the supply chain this," or, inflation this, while Biden was in there. So a lot of times the election ends up being what he didn't do right. But he was saying this election is so much bigger than that. Well, he wasn't saying that, but basically that's what he's trying to do with his speech, to make sure that people understand that, hey, this election is so much bigger than that. It's not just a referendum about what I haven't done as a president. This election is about, do you want this country to move forward or backwards? And that's it, right? So what he was saying is, he highlighted the rights that the GOP wants to erode. What are those? I talked about some of them on this show. The right to choose, the right to privacy, the right to contraception, the right to marry who you love. He mentioned Trump 3 times by name, saying that he was a threat to democracy. He said our institutions held in 2020 only because of the people who ran them. He said democracy cannot survive when one side believes that they're the only 2 outcomes to an election, and either they win or they were cheated, and that's garbage. And he's right. That's exactly what's going on here too. You know what I'm saying? We cannot have a democracy when one side believes that there are only 2 outcomes to an election: either they won or they were cheated. What is that? You know what I'm saying? We can't do business like that here in America. So he got a good point about that. The number one issue in this election, threats to democracy, as far as that go, you can say that because usually the number one issue in an election would be like kitchen table issues, what they call them, like economics, or like I was talking about the supply chain and inflation and stuff like that, pocketbook issues. But they were saying that for a minute there, or for some people, threats to democracy was the number one issue. Well, 53% of Democrats say it is, 32% of Republicans, and 11% of independents would say that the number one issue is threats to democracy. He mentioned how not all Republicans were MAGA Republicans, and that was big right there because he was saying a lot of them he's been able to work with. He said, that's how I know not all of them are MAGA Republicans. A lot of them I've been able to do business with, but a lot of them I've been able to pass legislation with. So there it is. But he also said that the Republican Party is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump, and that is a threat to this country. That's perfect. That's pitch perfect right there. I said, man, did Biden write that or did somebody write that for him? Whatever. I love it. That's amazing messaging coming from the Democrats because that says it right there in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? The Republican Party is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald J. Trump. Those are powerful words, and I agree with all of that. He came in, he hijacked their party with madness. He took over their gang, and now he strong arms their gang. And then this guy has the audacity, the caucasity, the audacity to break laws in front of your face, to break norms in front of your face, to take people down in a blaze of not glory, in a blaze of shame, with him Come on now. And the right ain't going to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Trump has made a fool of the GOP. He's made a fool of himself. You've seen the things that's going on with Trump lately. And I go on record, as years ago on this show, I said, becoming president will be the worst thing that happened to Donald J. Trump. Hear what I'm saying? Becoming the president of the United States would be the worst thing that happened to Donald Trump. And it is, as you see. Because for years, he's been doing all this criminality and it wasn't that big a deal. But once he got some real power, he couldn't help but abuse it. But he abused it at a level where all eyes are on you. And you're going to be held to account. And that's what's going on right now. So like I said, it'd be the worst thing that ever happened to him. He's finding out it is, but oh well, you know what I'm saying? Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Anyway, moving on. Oh, I'm not done yet. So, I said, that's, you know what I'm saying? Well, I guess I am done with this right there. You know what I'm saying? Saying that that's a threat to this country. It is a threat to this country. Because like I said, this man Donald Trump, he done hijacked the whole GOP, and that's something. Because we used to have good Republicans. But he has tainted that party, and I don't know if they can ever come back from this. You know, I said that to a friend of mine who's a conservative. I said, what are Lindsey Graham and, Giuliani and some of these guys going to do when Trump has to, waddle off the scene, which is going to happen. That's called politics. You know, once you're done, they wring you out like a rag, and then when they're done with you, they throw you they cash it to the side. What are some of these guys going to do when he's cast to the side? Because, you know what I'm saying, they still going to be around? I guess not. You know what I'm saying? With Giuliani's case, I guess not. Lindsey the Graham Cracker, he's a smart one and he's in Congress, so I guess he ain't going nowhere. But anyway, moving on. Let's talk about how the Democrats actually have a plan. I'm kind of with Mr. Kinzinger. Adam Kinzinger says that he thinks this plan is disgusting and it won't work. I think I'm aligned with him on this, but it's an interesting plan nonetheless. I like to see the Democrats being proactive and doing something. My Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because it always seems like I said, Republicans, they can be horrible people sometimes and be snake oil salesmen, but they're so much better at the game of politics than Democrats. A lot of times Democrats are sleeping on stuff that they should be up on or whatever, and then that way they could make better gains, and hopefully help more people. But anyway, so here's what's going on. Democratic groups have bought ads backing pro-Trump candidates running in primaries across the country, with the idea that being that Democrats will have an easier time beating these far-right Republicans in a general election. So there it is. So crazy enough, that's what's going on. Some of these Democrats are like, hey, look, you got some of these bad, crazy, you know what I want to say, bad-ish crazy people running on the right. Let's put money into this guy or gal. If we can elevate them to getting the nomination, it'll be easy for our guy or gal who reps the D to beat this person repping the R, because we know that they're crazy. We know that they're insane. And we have only put them up on that pedestal so that they could get beat up in a general election by our candidate. Okay, on paper, whatever, you look at that and you're like, oh, that might be a brilliant strategy because some of these people are way out there, right? But Adam Kinzinger was saying that's disgusting. I do think it's disgusting. It's like, come on, man. What kind of games are we playing around here? And you know what? I love politics because it is like a game. My kids have always asked me that. Sometimes they'll see me wearing political garb or whatever, talking about politics, and they're like, Dad, what is that? What is that about? Why do you love politics so much? I told them because politics to me is more interesting than sports or any of that, because this game, there's so much more at stake, right? When the Democrats win, people eat. You know what I'm saying? Sometime. I'm not saying that they're always on the level either with all their legislation and all that good stuff either. But my point is, when these things fall through, people don't eat. Sometimes people go homeless. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people end up in jail. The stakes are so much bigger in politics. So I think that's what's always turned me on about this game. You know what I'm saying? The stakes are bigger in politics. So there it is. But you also have to be careful with this, because here they are playing it like the game it is, but you might be playing with fire here. What happens if you elevate a person who sucks? They're not going to be good at their job. They're not going to be a worthwhile legislator. But you elevated them thinking that they'll get slaughtered in a general by whoever y'all run on the Democratic ticket. And what if the Democrat loses? That could happen, because at the end of the day, politics is what? It's a popularity contest. And this is America. People are not so much interested in the details. Or reading legislation, or even caring about what legislation the person who they support supports a lot of times. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I remember back in the day talking to people about why they were voting for Barack Obama, and one young lady told me, I think he's sexy, so I'm giving him my vote. Okay, there we go. But guess what? That's politics. It's a popularity contest. Do people like you for whatever reason? Is it the way you legislate or whatever reason? So point being, it could backfire. So with that, they rolling the dice. We'll see where that goes for some of them. But I think I do agree with Mr. Kinzinger. And you know what I'm saying? He is a Republican who I do agree with a lot. You know, if you remember, he is one of him and, you know, Miss Cheney, Miss Liz Cheney, were the only two Republicans with the testicular fortitude to stand up against Lord King Trump and say, nah, when you orchestrated insurrection on January 6th against the government, we're going to come after you, even though we rep the R just like you rep the R, sir. Yes, we're in your gang too, but we still going to stand up against you and the rest of the gang. He's one of the few who did that. So I got deep respect for this guy. And like I said, right here on this too, I agree with him too, man. This is disgusting. This is like, really? This is what it's come to? Whatever happened, where are the adults at? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna play politics and play it like an adult? Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about these attorneys who have said that they will not prioritize prosecuting abortion. Ain't that something? Attorneys said that they will not prioritize prosecuting abortion. Zach Klein, an attorney right here in the city, joined 80 prosecutors nationwide who have said that they will not prioritize prosecuting abortion. He said filing criminal charges against those who seek assistance in or provide abortions is not a priority for his office. That's what he said. When you read the article, he goes into a little more detail about it, but he said, look, our resources are already strained. I am not going to spend the little bit of resources that we got going after people who are making a medical decision or helping someone who made a medical decision. Let me go listen. First of all, right here in the great state of OHIO, OH and a dime, the heartbeat bill, which makes abortion illegal after a heartbeat is detected. In some cases, that's early as 6 weeks, right? It went into effect hours after they overturned Roe versus Wade. Hours. That shows you the GOP. They've been chomping at the bit to do what they've done, ladies and gentlemen. That was by grand design. How you enact some legislation hours after some legislation gets overturned at the federal level? That means you were DAMing it, paying attention. You were paying extreme attention. Anyway, okay. There's 2 trigger bills that would ban abortion that are out right now, still pending. And both of these have no exception for rape or incest. So think about that. 2 trigger bills that would outright ban any abortion in any case. Not even leeway, not even exception for rape or incest. Really? So a woman's raped, she gotta have a rapist baby. A woman has to go through incest. A family member rapes her, she has to have that family member's baby. This is what they on, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So Zach was saying, Mr. Klein, he said criminalization and prosecuting individuals who seek or provide abortion care makes a mockery of justice. Prosecutors should not be a part of that. That right there, I think, just put it in a bow for you, ladies and gentlemen. He wrapped it all up right there. Let me say that again. What did he say? He said criminalization and prosecution of individuals who seek or provide abortion care makes a mockery of justice. And prosecutors should not be a part of that. Chef's kiss on that, ladies and gentlemen. I say, hey, that guy gets it. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? So him, actually, I think as I was reading too, they said something like 87 law officials have signed on saying that we're not about to sit here and sweat people trying to get an abortion. We're not going to sit here and run around trying to lock up people seeking an abortion. It was the law of the land for 50 years. A small majority was able to basically hijack the Supreme Court and, get Roe versus Wade flipped or whatever. But we're not on that, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that to the ladies. And a lot of them probably like, we're not going to do that to the ladies in our life. We're not going to do that to the ladies in America. We're just not going to do it, period. So a TI is what a TI is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hats off to these guys because that's not easy. These are lawyers. They all have took that test or whatever. They passed the bar. I'm sure they're respected in their communities, and they've come out against abortion. That's a huge deal right now, especially. That's a huge deal. You're always going to have that debate is just going to go on for a lifetime. There's some people who are pro-choice, there's some people who are pro-life, and that is what it is. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I can see both sides. I tell people all the time, I used to be pro-life. I was pro-life. Then I started working at a school called Alumcrest. It's not even called that anymore, but it was for severely emotionally disturbed youth. And I worked with so many kids that had nobody. They had nobody. They didn't have nobody. Nobody cared about some of these kids. Some of these kids literally had nobody they could call for anything ever. They had nobody. They had caseworkers who never answered their phones. A lot of them lived in group homes. So there's, 8 or 9, 10, 12, 13 other kids in there. You know what I'm saying? And there's a staff in that group home for those kids. But a lot of those kids I work with, they didn't have anybody, and some of them probably would have been better off had they not even been born, which is sad to say. But, I mean, that's all I can think of when a person is on this planet and they have zero support. So that TI is what a TI is, and it's interesting how the GOP will go on and on and on and on about how life is precious and all life was created by God and we have to protect life. But as soon as that life is born, they don't want to do anything to take care of it. You know what I'm saying? They don't support food stamps to feed that life. They don't support gun control so that life don't get gunned down in the mall or something. Nah, they just support it up until it comes out the crotch. Anyway, moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, I laugh to keep from crying. Let me go into my last segment here because I'm going to let you get up out of here. I don't want to hold you all day. This is actually Labor Day. Day before Labor Day, right? So check it out. A lot of y'all probably getting your barbecues and such together. Check this out. I want to talk about the Covington kid. You probably forgot about that. That was the kid who was going toe-to-toe with like a Native American. Well, let's talk about it. Nicholas Sandmann loses lawsuits against media outlets, including New York Times, NBC, and the Rolling Stone. I remember all of them doing stories and such on him when this went down. Nicholas, the former Covington high schooler, has lost a handful of defamation cases. He tried to sue outlets including the New York Times and ABC News over coverage of a 2019 protest encounter. The judge threw the cases out, saying they were based on unverifiable opinion. Yeah, true indeed. Now, I remember when that went down, I had, some conservative friends who were like, why is an 80-year-old man coming at a kid and he went blah, blah, blah. What? Why is a kid coming at an 80-year-old man? That was my whole thing. If you've seen the video, if you haven't, you can go ahead and put that in. You can put in Covington kid in there. You can put in Nicholas Sandmann in there, and it'll pop right up, and you'll see him, kind of going like nose to nose, toe to toe with an 80-year-old Native American man. Why? I said, whatever happened to respect for your elders? And I talked about it on this show, and I still say that. Whatever happened to respect for your elders? Now, what TI is what TI is. A lot of stuff was going on in this moment. The group that this young man was with, and this young man himself was wearing the Make America Great Again hat. I think Trump was in office at this time, so that was going on. I'd heard that initially at this incident, there were some Hebrew Israelites there, and they were taunting these young white guys who were wearing these MAGA hats. And then between them taunting them and then the white guys coming back at the Hebrew Israelites, I heard that the Native American group had got in between them and just started chanting, kind of just to break up the fight. And then that's how they, through them interjecting themselves, is how we get the visual of this kid, kind of standing, face to face with this Native American who's just chanting, So, but that whole scene just said to me, I was like, man, where's the respect for your elders? But now I talked to a lot of people on the right, and he was like, oh, why is that old man got to be coming at a kid, blah, 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 blah. Come on, man, what is that about? So it's interesting to me how this happened a million years ago, but of course it's been thrown out, you know what I'm saying, because nothing happened, nothing should have happened. That whole incident was silly. It was stupid. It looked like it was just some peaceful protesting, right? Now it was some extreme size peaceful protesting. The story about the Hebrew Israelites, who knows? Because that's not on camera, I don't think, or we haven't seen that piece of it. That's just what I've heard or whatever. You know, the part that we did see, didn't look great, but it wasn't violent or nothing like that. That was even peaceful protesting. They were standing nose to nose, face to face or whatever, but it wasn't like no violence was going on or nothing like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Is that a story? It is what it is. To me, it's interesting, though, in all of this, how he didn't get any money. He wasn't wronged. People on the right wanted to act like it was all such a big deal, and they were out there just peacefully wearing their Make America Great hats again. Blah, blah, blah. You know what that hat does to people, okay? You know what I'm saying? A friend of mine, he was gifted that hat. He's a conservative. He was gifted that hat, and he told me, I'm not going to wear that hat. He told me he was too old to wear that hat. He said the type of violence and whatever that hat draws, he's not young enough to deal with. He said, now back in the day when I was a little younger, you know what I'm saying? He was saying that I could do that all day. But he was saying right now that he ain't got it for that. So that TI is what a TI is. But it lets you know how divisive that hat is. And them young men knew that. Another thing is these were high school students. High school students are usually looking to do what? Get a rise out of people. Maybe I know that because I work with kids. I've worked with kids for 30 plus years. So usually high school students, high school kids, teenagers are looking to get a rise out of people. That hat gets a rise out of people. You wear that hat, you can wear that hat to the store right now. You're going to get a rise out of people. I was somewhere and I thought I'd seen like a lady and she was wearing a red hat, but it said something else. But it looked like it said Make America Great Again. And people was tripping off of what it looked like it said. But it said something totally different. And I think the joke was to make it look like it said that. But it said this totally different thing. It's kind of like an advertisement for a pizza shop or something like that. It was silly. But point being, just the fact that it looked like a Make America Great Again hat. Already, you know what I'm saying? She's about to get some drama for that. So these young men knew what was up with that. Teenagers, that's kind of the MO of being a teenager. You're looking to be provocative. They were looking to be provocative. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, nothing became of it because nobody was wrong. These were some peaceful protesters. No blows were thrown. Nobody got hurt. It was just a heck of a visual, you know what I'm saying, to see this super old man, face to face with this teenager. I just felt like the young man had a lot of disrespect for somebody who was obviously so much older than him. But what do I know? I'm old school, you know what I'm saying? And back in my day, we respected our elders. Crazy me. Anyway, that is my time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your humble host, Phys Music. This right here is Urban Politics, where politics lives. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, go on over to YouTube, like and subscribe. Phys Music, Urban Politics, and as always, see you around like a donut.